Hi, my name is Mark Biernat. I'm a monetary economist. In this video, I want to talk about the Russian debt crisis. Oh, you might say, you've heard it, that the Russians have low debt. They're on the gold standard. BRICS is on the rise. My response as an economist? Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with that. There's a massive financial crisis, but it's a debt crisis, specifically a debt crisis in Russia. Now, if you take the party line from the Kremlin and just repeat it, add water and repeat, you might hear that they have low debt to GDP. You might even hear that they have a gold standard. Gold standard, definitely no. Okay? Low debt to GDP based on what? A fabricated GDP number, a fabricated debt number? We can't trust aggregate debt numbers, okay? And we can't trust the GDP numbers. What we can trust is logic. I can give you maybe in a separate video the quantitative aspect of this, but I'm going to just explain the qualitative aspect, the logic of why they have a debt crisis. And the easiest way to do it is with an analogy, an example, a metaphor, but a true story. I know somebody in St. Augustine, Florida, where I live, and this goes along with the 3 C's of credit, okay? First, he's got some debt. Second, he's got low income. Third, he has a horrible credit rating, right? Nobody will lend to him. His credit score is below, like 0. Third, his associations. And what he does something, let's say criminal. Okay? Is that somebody you would lend money to? Is that somebody you think has a problem with debt? If he's got debt and he's got to service it, but he's got low income, and the only way he can service that debt or get more debt is through something like predatory loans, isn't that a debt crisis? Isn't that a problem? Isn't that Moscow? Isn't that Mother Russia? If Elvira has mentioned, she didn't say Russia's out of cash to Putin. I don't know the exact words, but she said they've got troubled waters. They're in a sticky wicket up the creek without a paddle. She basically conveyed that. That is a debt crisis, because think about the guy in St. Augustine. He can't pay his bills because he's got low income. He's got high expenses, and including debt to service, and we don't know the true level of debt, but he's got a horrible credit score. He's got bad character, and the 3 C's of credit are character, capacity, and collateral. The Tsar of Russia, horrible character. You might even say criminal. In terms of capacity, we know based on Numbrio data, and I was going to calculate it out, like the total population based on the average income, and then that will derive the real income, total debt. But just qualitatively, and maybe that's a good video, we know that his capacity is extremely low. Evidence and proof is nobody will take his debt. He can't raise foreign capital. All he can do is lift himself up by his own bootstraps, by taking implicit loans from oligarchs and people that he gives them an offer they can't refuse. They owe him. They owe him some favor and tell him it's going to be all right somehow. So Russia is a country of off-books debt. Uncles and payments and oligarchs and here and there and wheeling and dealing and money laundering. Is it not? Do you deny that? So if we were really, as an economist, and I am a serious economist and an academic economist, you cannot take the debt to GDP ratio. You can take it as seriously as their claim for that they're on a gold standard. A gold standard is simply, I go to the bank with ruble, they're going to give me gold for it. That's how it worked in the classical era. Any historian of economics knows that. And you can't do that in Russia. So they're not on a gold standard. And their debt is a lot of implicit debt that you can't account for because everything's off book. And their income is very low, and they have a debt crisis because they have huge payments. They have very low credit rating, so low that not a country in the world will let. Can you imagine the Bank of Poland lending Russia money? Can you imagine any, respectable, like Chase Manhattan Bank, I don't know if it's respectable or not, lending them money? I was in a credit training program for them back in Manhattan. That's why I know about credit analysis. Okay. lending Russia money? No, they're not going to do that. Why would they do that? Can you imagine South Korea National Bank lending Russia money? They're not going to do that. The only people that might are internal lending, and China's not even going to do that. They want hard currency. They want collateral, right? They want this oil shipment. That is a system, that is a country, that is an individual who can't take a loan because they have a bad credit score, because they have a bad character, maybe criminal activity, maybe they've been charged with criminal activity. They have low capacity to pay it back because of low income. That is, by definition, a debt crisis. And you don't believe it, meditate on the financial crisis in the US in 2008. People with low credit scores and low income, and afterwards, could they get any debt? And yet they still had cash flow problems. Happiness is a positive cash flow. You know, if you have more cash flow than you have expenses, you know, or cash than you have expenses, then you're okay. That is not the case in Moscow. Moscow has a serious debt problem based on the fact that nobody will give them money. Their interest rates are through the roof. I say infinity because nobody will give them money. And now, according to Elvira, the head of the Russian central bank, I don't even know if she's still there, she's conveying, metaphorically at least, that Russia's out of cash. And you can say, well, you know, they have this infinite resources. Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with that as an economist, because what's the first rule of economics? The first law is infinite wants and limited resources. That's the very first thing you learn, page 1, Economics 101 in a textbook. Economics is a study of infinite wants and finite resources, and nobody has infinite resources. And you say, well, they have oil and gas. No, they have raw materials, which is the Dutch curse, the resource curse, or the Dutch disease. That exacerbates the problem. So again, Russia has a financial debt crisis that is accumulating now as they deplete their stores of what they call cash. And as the ruble goes down, they have less of it. They cannot raise new capital. That is their debt crisis. They can't get new money in. They can't pay the bills. The system is cracked and it all falls apart. They have a debt crisis because they can't raise new funds. The United States of America, you can say whatever we want, or Japan, we can raise debt any day of the week. I'll take U.S. sovereign debt, won't you? But I won't touch Russian debt. So Russia has a debt crisis. My name is Mark Biernot. I'm a monetary economist. Have a great day. Thank you very much.